I'm speaking to you from Indianapolis, and one of our greatest musical heroes is Wes Montgomery.
Hallelujah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I understand he was a big influence on you, along with Bola Sete and Gabor Szabo. Tell me about the influence Wes Montgomery had on you and your music.
Well, when you hear Wes Montgomery for the first time, it's like discovering being inside of a Rolls Royce. His tone, his choice of notes, his facility as a musicianship. You know, a lot of people don't know that John Coltrane wanted him in his band. You know, John Coltrane knew that the value of Wes Montgomery was immense, not only in musical terms, but Wes Montgomery was probably one of the first crossover musicians, you know, that went across the board, four corners of the world. You know, I wish this upon every human being. There's a feeling of being any corner of the world, and you turn around the corner, and here's a car coming around the corner, and it's playing your music on the radio. You know, there's something very gratifying and fulfilling about that. Not from the ego point of view, but from a validation point of view. You know, when there's a car coming around and they're playing your music on the radio and they're dancing to it, that's what Wes Montgomery was to me. You know, it wasn't even jazz or any of those terms anymore. It was just universally accepted music.
Do you remember when you first heard his work? Is that something you can kind of trace back in your mind?
Yes, I went to a friend of mine, and at that time we had records. We didn't have cassettes or 8-tracks or anything. All we had was records. So we went to the house. When we played hooky, we hung out with people who had records. So they had 3 records: Wes Montgomery, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, and Jimi Hendrix, All Is Love. And I remember the sound of Wes Montgomery. It just sounded so evolved and with classy and elegance. It really floored me, you know, as a guitar player, because I grew up with B.B. King, you know, B.B. King, like Michael Bloomfield and Eric Clapton. We were all disciples of B.B. King. When I discovered Gabor Szabo, Wes Montgomery, and Bola Sete, it was like discovering a universe, a galaxy, and anything like that, you know? And my life was never the same. I feel really grateful because Wes Montgomery, and then I learned about, you know, his brothers, and the whole family was incredible. And so I'm really, really grateful to him and his family for helping us evolve, because his music is very highly evolved.
Wes had a subtle Latin vibe in many of his recordings. His albums featured legendary Latin percussionists like Willie Bobo, Armando Peraza, Candido, Ray Barretto played on some of his records. Is that something that you kind of tuned into, or did it mean anything to you, that kind of Latin feel in his music?
Yes, it did. It had Latin, but it wasn't the Latin neighborhood. It was a Latin galaxy. You know, in the Latin neighborhood, it's really beautiful, but it's based around clave. Everything's clave in Puerto Rico, Cuba, Nueva York, you know. Wes Montgomery had clave, but it was a different kind of clave. It was, you know, I'll say it like this. The elements, components, ingredients, nutrients to cook a delicious meal, they're the same for everybody. But it's up to the chef to make it a delicious, different meal, you know, because each chef has their own fingerprints, their own personality, their own authenticity, their own uniqueness. You know, when you hear Wes Montgomery play the guitar, it was so different than any other musician. Of course, he plays with his thumb, but the sound of his left hand also, you know, the way he graced the notes, was like Miles Davis and John Coltrane. And and Billie Holiday was very, very elegant. So my heart gratitude always, I was just listening to him a little while ago, Wes Montgomery.
One last question on this. I think you were about 20 years old when he died. It was 1968. He was 45 years old. He had a sudden heart attack. It was a shock to the music world. Do you have any memories of hearing that Wes had died and what that meant to you?
It felt like someone in my family had left, I remember feeling like I was frozen in time, and I felt a loss in my heart. And I says, I'm going to go buy some more albums, and because to me at that time, I loved driving around the streets of San Francisco playing Wes Montgomery music. That was it. That was that was the thing to do. Smoke some weed and drive around in San Francisco, listen to Wes Montgomery, Caravan, and Going Out of My Head. He turned everything into a classic. The way he touched it, and I'm still recuperating. I'd get in the car and I drive moving west, and I play certain songs. He just makes the day better. He fills my life with gladness and gratitude. His notes.